What's up, everybody? We drive time Shaman. I know you can't see me really good. I'm driving home, so I figured I'd stay live with you guys until we get into the mountains and I lose reception. It's the drive time Shaman videos. I figured we'd do it live for you guys tonight. Mostly I do it on my Patreon, so everybody subscribe to support at patreon.com/themysticalspiral. I'm gonna wait for people to join real quick. Are we live right now or what? Yeah, I think we live. What's up, everybody? We driving. This is the Drive Time Shaman videos. I don't even know if anybody's joining yet. Yeah, we got some people here, so what's up? So everybody, I want to continue the discussion while I'm driving. I got like I got some time before we get into the mountains. I'm gonna do these Drive Time Shaman videos. Usually I do them on Patreon, so everybody, if you're not on my Patreon, you got to get there to support and to get the access to my Shaman videos. It's all on my Patreon, so I'm gonna do 1 or 2 videos a month here on YouTube, but if you want daily information, you got to go to my Patreon, patreon.com/themysticalspiral. This is a Drive Time Shaman video that I've been mostly doing on Patreon now. The lighting's not good tonight, but usually we're not doing them at nighttime driving. But I want to continue the discussion that I was having on my Patreon. I'm going to be posting a video tonight on my Patreon about it that I recorded this morning. Something happened to our timeline in the 12 and 1300s. Turned our world upside down. This is when the Inquisition started. Now think about it. Women, important as men, they worked out alongside men. They were held important positions just like men. And they were seers just like men. They were shaman. There was mostly woman oracles connecting to a whole bunch of energies throughout our multi-dimensional universe. Just like Delphi was a woman oracle, right? So the very people that the communities held in such high regard and went to for help, now we're being hunted down, getting called evil witches. And this happened, they changed our timeline and they used our very old ways against us, because one of the main reasons why the Inquisition started and the Black Plague came, and the Black Plague definitely, in my opinion, and through stories passed down through Strega lore, through Benedante lore, is that the Black Plague was from sorcery. It literally was insects and rodents that were ritually programmed with a black virus, with a dark potion that leaves open wounds and sores and these black sores all over the body. It was from sorcery, and it can only get beat through herbs and counteract the sorcery with good sorcery, with healing sorcery. It's the only way to heal it. And people that were healing these wounds for the plague were being exterminated by the church. And a lot of mystics at that time were having a foreseeing new future, an age of reason that was coming. And this age of reason was going to bring in a rise of female popes, female cardinals, and a rise of female spiritual leaders on our planet. And the church did not want this. And they started the Inquisition and the Black Plague for reasons like this. And there was a family called the Visconti family. Still a family. They're known as an elite family. And they even have their own tarot deck, the Visconti tarot deck. It's spelled Visconti, Visconti. It's an Italian family that was shaman, witches, seers, and they had a rival family that they always were having rivals with, these two noble families. But there was this group called the Guglielmites and the Guglielma of Milan, And one of her descendants was Manfreda Visconti, and she was going to be the first female pope, and they were going to usher her in as the female pope in the year 1300, which they declared a jubilee year, and she was going to usher in and be the new female pope. And they foresaw her being this in the great church that's called Santa Maria Maggiore, and she was going to be this pope, the papess. They chose her to be the vicar of the Holy Spirit on this earth. She was going to really be like an incarnation of God. She was going to be this papess of the church, and she was a woman, Manfreda Visconti, and she was going to be ushered in at this great church, Maria Maggiore. It's one of the most amazing churches in all of Italy. Still to this day, it's been redone so many times. But let's talk about this Maria Maggiore church for a minute too. And by the way, Manfreda Visconti was burned alive for being a witch and a heretic. And you can see her as on the Papessa card on the Visconti tarot deck. You can see her, and a lot of times in history you can go back and find that they hid her pictures in a lot of paintings throughout you know, the 1300s, and after that they started to hide her mysteriously hide her picture inside of paintings, you know. And she was connected to the Ladies of the Free Spirit. There was this group, and the Guglielmites. But this church, Maria Maggiore, let's talk about this church for a minute, because this church is supposed to be haunted with the energy, the imprint of this woman, Manfreda Visconti. And this church is supposed to be one of the most haunted churches in the world that's still active today, Santa Maria Maggiore. And there's a lot of stories that go to this place, how it's haunted in many ways. There's an old story that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. The original one was made from stone. This church had a lot of stone work in it, and there was a top bell tower or steeple at the top that had this big stone structure with a hole in the stone where you can like look out. And at there was a friar up in this tower at the time, and he was looking down and at this through the hole at a parade of people walking on the street. There was a whole bunch of people walking on the street, which ended up being a bunch of soldiers that were leading a man to his death, to his execution. And he was the man they were leading was actually a stregone. He was a male shaman, a male seer, a male witch that was going to be burned or hung or killed in some way. He was going to be executed. So the friar poked his head out of the hole in the stone and was looking down at the people below, and he made a comment, because he knew what they were. He knew this man was being led to his death. So he made a comment in Italian down to them, and he said a figure of speech to them that was basically like, he basically said like, I'm not going to say it in Italian, but it translates to, give the guy a drink so he won't die. I know it doesn't make any sense when you translate it from Italian, but what he meant was, it literally means get the guy drunk and he won't feel his death. You know, give him a drink first and he won't surely die, is what he said. And he literally, what he meant was, get the guy drunk first before you kill him, and he won't feel his death. You know, so he said that. It was sort of like a little offhanded comments, maybe a little sarcastic. So the guy that was being led to his death at the time was said to have looked up at the friar and said, and then of course they walked away and they couldn't be seen anymore. So the friar went to go take his head out of the hole, and he realized that he was stuck there and nobody could get him out. He couldn't get his, you know, he poked his head through the little hole in the stone to look down, and this guy vexed him. And when he went to go and get his head out, it was like it was enclosed on him, and he couldn't fit his head back out, and everybody tried to get his head out, and it said that this friar died up there. They had to remove his body, and his head was still stuck up there, and they said that the head was left up there, and it ended up becoming it ended up becoming petrified in the stone. His head literally became petrified in the stone, and you can still see a remnants of the stone today. Up on top, even though that tower's not there anymore and it's been redone, but as of the late 1800s, early 1900s, remnants of that stone was still there. And I have read about it. I've never been there, so I can't say it's still there today, but as of the early 1900s, it was still there, that stone. I'm not sure about it today. It'd be interesting to find out. But the church is called the Maria Maggiore, and it's an interesting story. That's just one of many tales that say how haunted this place is, and how much energy of the past is imprinted on there. It's called Maria Maggiore. It's spelled, of course, Maria, and Maggiore, Maggiore. It's a well-known church, but there's a lot of energy, all sorts of interesting energies that are associated with that church. And when I think about it, I see like a whole bunch of things going around it. Like I don't know if you want to say they're electric entities, but they're zipping through the place, like almost all over. So it's infested with energy. So my phone's about to die, everybody, and I'm about to go into the mountains. So everybody, we're going to try to do a live stream later. Definitely support my Patreon. Donate in the chat if you can. And later we're going to do live readings. So get ready and spiral out.